My name is Carly. My pronouns are they, them. And this is the BookTube Newbie Tag. I've recently started my writing vlog, and I think the Newbie Tag is a great way to introduce myself to everyone who is interested in checking out the tag. And also, yeah, it just makes me sit down and think a bit more about my motivations, which is also really great. So, the first question, because I'm sort of painfully old school, uh, paper. Why did you start this channel? I've been on YouTube for a really long time, not as a active uploader, but as someone who gets lots of book recommendations from their favorite booktubers. And the main motivation for starting the channel was actually when the discussion around AI became ever more prevalent, and just the scope of slop that is currently coming down upon us. And that got me really upset because I'm an indie author. I think I do it like I'm supposed to do it. And I thought, yes, because so many things that you see are often about the more glamorous side. So it's no wonder that people want to have the product at the end. They don't want to do the slog in between. If it gets hard, people really tend to go out or just, yeah, check how they can do it easier. And that also like gave me the motivation to document how I'm doing things, and that it's not easy, and that it's complicated, and there's a million things you need to do at any given time. And also to showcase it in a more everyday way, because some of the videos that I also like to consume because they're pretty, they're fun, they're engaging, but they are always very much concentrating on the surroundings. Everything needs to be cute, everything needs to be pretty. So I think it can contribute to the notion that in order for you to actually do the thing, actually sit down and write, you need to have an inspiring environment. And that's not how it works. To be honest, you need to be able to sit down everywhere, anytime, and just do it. That's my understanding. That's how I need to do it. So yeah, that was the main motivation. What are some unique things you can bring? I think I went into the doing it all together like at one time thing because I started my indie imprint last year, and am now in the second year in the midst of stuff going on. And um, I think that's a perspective that not many people show that much when it's a writing vlog, or at least I haven't seen many of those. It's usually more about this project that's happening right here, right now. It's not so much the other stuff that happens around you. And because I'm also doing events, um, not just for the indie imprint, but also for Yarn, I thought that might be an interesting thing to document and to show people what's actually entailed. I think it's also because I'm non-binary, I think I'm somewhere on the aromantic spectrum, so I'm also presenting a style of life that's maybe not so much seen, let's say it like this, not so much centered and I live by myself. I used to have a cat who sadly is no longer with us, but I have a lot of friends that I see uh, on a regular basis, and I just live a different sort of life than most people think. Life needs to be lived, and I think that's a nice perspective to bring to the party. What are you most excited for? I think the connection, because I've kept my writing, my world quite close to my chest for a long, long time until COVID happened. And it really showed me that it's now or never. You can keel over and die anytime. And why not share what you're most passionate about with people? So I think it's the sharing, the community, the communication. I think that's what I'm most excited about. And also to learn how other people do it. Because one of the things that I try to stress is that whatever I'm doing here is not prescriptive. It's literally just documenting how one person does it. And because that also goes back to the last question, because I'm not an architect writer, I think it's very easy to present, oh, this is the points you need to have, this is the things you need to do. But if it's more of an intuitive thing or a battling it out with yourself thing that can't be like pressed into a schematic or like a 5 point plan, it gets really difficult to communicate that to people. So I think this writing blog is a bit of an attempt to do that, to just to say, hey, whatever it gets the thing done is right. Whatever works for you is the correct way to do it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, especially if they want money for it. So I think that's answering that question. Why do you love reading? Because there have been many times in my life when I wanted to be everywhere else and everyone else but myself and where I was at that moment. I think that's the honest answer. It's also what got me into writing, I think. But reading started with reading. Both of them are really intertwined for me. There's a family story where I think I must have been 3.5 years old, sitting, no, I must have been like 4, I think. I was in kindergarten. Where I'm sitting on a family holiday with my brother and we're looking at a picture book and I can't read yet, but I'm making up a story around the pictures that we see. So it's all tangled up together for me. I think it's also the accessibility of it. There are libraries, there are options to read. You might not always get the most like the new releases, the most glamorous books, but they are usually books somewhere to be found. So it's one of the, if you're not into collecting special editions, it's one of the more accessible hobbies or things to learn about the human condition, to learn about where you want to be or where you want to be. I think that's the fundamental stuff. When did you start reading? I can't really answer that. Because it's always been with me. I come from a family of readers. I'm privileged in that way. Um, I remember that we went to our local library with a laundry basket full of picture books to return them every 4 weeks, and that we had, I think we were let loose on the children's section and we could pick everything we wanted. And it was just a very exciting day in the library. And I loved the local library to the point where at some, like later, that I thought, oh, I think I've read almost every book on these shelves that is appropriate for my age. Yeah, so books were always really exciting. And I think my parents did a great job of communicating that to us. What book got you into reading? I think it's probably Hungry Caterpillar. In German, it's called Die Raupe Nimmersatt. It basically means the caterpillar that was never satisfied. And yeah, I think I have very clear memories of that book. But I also had those little, like tiny books. And one of them I have a clear memories of is one with a mouse who makes a flower crown out of daisies. So books have always been around me. What kind of books do you like to read? I'm a fantasy reader. I write fantasy, so lots of it is for research purposes, but I also am really passionate about fantasy literature. It served such an important function in my life because it let me escape from being myself and from, yeah, pretty much the whole horrible situation that I found myself in, especially as a teenager, when you don't fit in, you don't have any language why you're not fitting in. You have like horrible suspicions about yourself, but you can't even dare voice them. So books have been a refuge, sanctuary. Yeah. And fantasy is very good at that. It also has, there's a second side to the coin, I always think, where it's too good at that because it means that the person you're running away from is very rarely depicted in those books. It starts to get a bit better. I mean, the stuff I'm writing is very much trying to represent people like me, people who don't see themselves in the books. But for a long, long time, especially with classic fantasy, it was really difficult to find someone who maybe doesn't look, doesn't speak, doesn't sound like your quintessential action hero. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why fantasy has still such a hold on me. Sometimes the balance is really difficult to walk. But I also have a literature degree and I really like early modern literature as well. Like think Ian Forster, Virginia Woolf, this kind of thing. Um, I'm collecting the Virago publications, like the usually early modern publications with like reissued with a green spine, or they used to have a green spine, and I'm always keeping an eye out for them. So that's another part of literature that I really like. So I'm trying to mix and match quite a bit. Nonfiction is one of my other things, um, especially around food history is, or um, yeah, food history is a big one. The Vikings are a big one, and also like weird, like nature writing things. Like I love books with a project where it's sort of, oh, this year I'm trying to see all of Britain's most endangered, whatever. yeah, so nature nonfiction books and history nonfiction books. That's also very much up my alley. Where do you read? Everywhere. Um, I usually have at least three books on the go, one audiobook, one book from the library, or like a proper book, and one ebook. Just to make sure I always have a book with me in any case. But I think most of my reading is done before I go to bed. I usually under like during the week I will try to go up to the bedroom quite early, like get ready for bed and then read 1 or 2 hours. That's usually my nighttime routine. I'm trying to be much more mindful with like sleep hygiene because I used to sleep like really not a lot. At the moment, I think I'm averaging about 6 hours, which is much better than it used to be. So I've tried to make sure that I don't scroll before bedtime, because yeah, that definitely keeps me awake. And I've noticed that especially reading a hard copy helps me with sleep hygiene. That's why I'm reading so much in bed. But I'm also like I love reading outside under a tree, on a bench. Um, and sometimes when I'm really wanting to get something finished, I'm also taking it downstairs. Yeah, sit exactly here and read, have some tea. Um, but I think that's not most of my reading. What does your book collection look like? That's a bit of a tricky one because I left quite a few of my books when I, as a migrant to the UK. I left them behind with my parents. We've been trying to whittle them down because I had lots for uni. With the literature degree, you really have to work with the books. So I had like lots and lots of like cheapish paperback editions with like annotations. But I'm really trying to narrow those down. I always had so many books. At the moment, because I'm living in a cottage that's very small, I'm really trying not to get too many books inside the cottage, and then which is why I try to read as much as possible from my local libraries. Also, there's like a little free library book exchange in one of the local supermarkets. So I'm always trying to all the books that I have read that I know I'm not going to read again, just try and get them out of the house. Um, I think most of my book collection now is actually ebooks, and I have like a shamefully high number of ebooks I haven't read yet. I usually have put them on my wish list, and once they're on offer, I buy them. But then you have like a massive electronic TBR, and that's happened in my case. But there are certain books that I really want to own, and for example, like favorite nonfiction, I love to own. Also, I'm trying to, or I'm collecting a bit of like Jane Austen secondary literature as well. So yeah, that's um yeah, I didn't mention that on the book collection or about books I like to read, but yeah, that's also up there. Questions to ask your favorite booktubers. I think it's mostly technical questions, like how much do you schedule in advance? How did you get started with editing? I admit that I actually quite like to learn new technical stuff. So the getting to grips with editing, even though I'm really just at the beginning and could do so much better, um, it's still fun. So yeah, I'm trying to do that. with as much enthusiasm as I can. So I think it's like mostly technical questions. Um, I will talk about books that I'm reading in the vlogs as well, but at the moment I'm mostly doing the writing blog, so it will overlap. I'm sure. I actually started with sort of short form book reviews, book vlogs, and noticed that I really quite enjoy those. And then started like, okay, I can try like longer form content as well, because I think that's what I like to consume. So makes sense to try my hand at the long form. Um, yeah, technical questions really. Uh, Any challenges to overcome? I think it's probably because writing is very repetitive. It always looks the same. It might be that the vlogs are not very exciting, apart from sort of I'm trying to have a chapter counter, for example, and try to use covers to spice up everything. And also because I'm talking about so many different projects, it might get really confusing otherwise. And I'm also doing, like, when I'm on Wednesdays, there's the local market, and I'm started to do a little market haul afterwards, just to, yeah, bring a bit more color into the videos. I think that's the repetitive nature is probably one of the biggest challenges, and also just being consistent, stay on the ball, just don't get discouraged by slow growth, which is um, something that is going to happen. I don't fit into the box. I know that it's going to take me a longer time to find an audience, which is sort of the same problem slash advantage that my books have. Um, they are, I think, some people won't connect to them, and that's fine. I think that lots of people who won't connect to me because I don't look like someone you want to emulate. But other people might listen to me and say, "Oh, I'm in a similar situation. Oh, I'm actually, yeah, that's sort of my approach to writing is very like that." And have questions along the way, and then we can commune. And then concluding thoughts. It's going to be a new adventure, to be honest. What I've realized is that apart from just documenting everything that's going on, what I really enjoy is to sit down and ramble. And while I'm rambling, I'm coming to conclusions for what to do, how to proceed, sort of speed. And at the end, there's sometimes a solution. Or I just might just know, oh, this is why I did it. Happens more often than you think. So I think it's because it's a writing blog, it's going to be quite a private thing. Um, and that's probably not what many people are interested in, but I think that's fine. I think that's just, I need to roll with that. Um, and just do it because I enjoy the process and not the result. Exactly like with the books. I mean, um, what I'm trying to do is to build, at least for the EPUBs, like a platform where I can sell them directly without going via Amazon if I don't have to. Um, so this is all like part of the strategy. I don't know if that will work. At the moment, we're really in the let's fuck around and find out phase. And that can be where the most fun is to be had. So I'm still excited. Um, and I hope that the longer I'm doing it, the more comfortable I get with camera and everything. I might overshare from time to time, as I said, because it's quite a private thing. If all of this sounds interesting to you, I would be so thrilled if you could give me a follow and leave me a comment. Um, it's going to be a wild ride.